Welcome again to part 2 of this message on I Want You to Know Me. Yesterday we talked a bit about the importance of knowing God and of praying that He would give us a spirit of wisdom and revelation, that He would enlighten our eyes so that we could hear Him calling us. Today, it's one thing to know what God wants us to have, the spirit of wisdom and revelation, to know Him better. But then God wants us to know Him, I believe, in 3 areas. I pray the eyes of your heart may be enlightened in order that you may know the hope to which He has called you. Do you know the hope to which God has called you? He's called you to have a certainty. See, this hope is not wishful thinking. It is a hope which is grounded in what Jesus has done for you. See, God is not just wanting you to sort of float through life, hoping somehow that you'll make it through, but He wants you to have a grounding, a foundation, that your knowledge would be more than just hopeful, a vague hope, but something which is real in your life. He's redeemed us. He's purchased us. He's adopted us. He's sealed us by His Spirit. See, God is wanting us, or to convey to us, knowledge so that our hope would be strong and we would know that He's calling us. The second thing is that He says also, I want you to know the riches of His glorious inheritance in the saints. Ephesians 1 and verse 18. This means that God has called us to know that we are His inheritance. That's a profound thought when you think of it. I am God's reward in some ways. It's like God comes along and He says, I don't really need you, but I want you. How does that make you feel? I think it makes us feel valuable, that God wants me. The fact is that God one day says, I want you to see me face to face. Now we see dimly, like through a mirror. It's like we don't see Him, but we believe in Him. But the whole concept of God sending Jesus is that you might know Him and that how valuable you are, because it says that you may know the glorious inheritance that you are to Him. And then the third thing God wants you to know, the power that is His incomparably great power for us to believe. See, God wants you to know His power. This power, it says, was demonstrated when God raised Jesus from the dead and seated Him at the right hand of the heavenly realms and far above all rule and authority, power and dominion. This says something about God's power. He's not just a little God somehow that's afraid of being broken somewhere or rejected. He's a God who has all power in heaven and on earth, and He wants to protect you. He wants to provide for you. He wants to heal you. He wants to deliver you. He wants to work in your life, but not just in a small way. If you can believe it today, God wants you to know. He wants you to know the hope of your calling, the riches of the inheritance you are to Him, and to know His power for those who believe in Him. This power is for our benefit today. So, do you know Him today? I'd ask you to say, Lord, I hear your calling. I see the value you place on me sending Jesus, and I receive today that power in my life that will transform me into a person that knows God. How can we remain the same when we know Him? Let that be your cry and your experience today, I pray. Have a great day.